Dear Lord, help us make adequate and correct decisions for citizens of Alphone County. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our chairman, Adam, is incapacitated at work. We're not able to make it, so please bear with me and we'll get through this meeting.
We need your tech guy.
Yeah. And I forgot a folder with the whole.
He approved motion minutes from the July 6th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve them. Second.
Motion on the floor, seconded, and discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Comment? We're holding on here for.
Let's do second.
Seems like we're signed into it. It's never done that before. Call it.
Yeah. That's what we got here, everything twice. We need to wait a minute.
He's still working on that.
I don't know
One of the things.
I don't know what this is. When I present it, you can ask. But
There is no direction. It's all. So we were.
John, we all set? Okay, all right, public comment, limit 3 minutes per person. Anybody have public comment? Tony?
I have here the request that you guys gave us for the property. So that you can make a decision on purchasing it. Well, you all know that purchasing is no longer required because they are giving us the property. This is the other information that you're asking for. And everything, and then also, we ran the ad also for the 2 vacancies for the Veterans Affairs Committee, and we have 4 applicants, and we'll be bringing those at the next meeting.
Okay,
Appointment.
so this is just for our information right now?
Well, that is marks off the 4 things on your list here. So that you can make a, it says, once the location has been approved and purchased, the following information and materials will be needed to be produced. So this marks off the 4.
Well, there's just a little bit of miscommunication. You're drawing, print.
No,
From an architect.
it says that it could be rough drawing.
Well,
Down
rough
here,
drawings helps us,
once
but-
once you have it here, it says once that is done, then a blueprint design with specifics is required. That's
Right.
where we get the stamped
Right.
official blueprint.
But I can tell you, you can't get official bid on the building until you have assessed and drawings. You can't, because.
Well, I'm
electrical-
telling you what Jacob's builder gave us.
I see that, yeah, and that's fine,
So,
that's fine, but you're gonna need a piece, you're gonna need a stamp drawing. Thank you. Any other public comment? Anybody online? Okay, we'll move on to presentations. Julie,
Hi there. What's a good place for me to stand? Is this okay? Like
Yeah,
right
right
in
here,
front of you?
yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you and the entire Board of Commissioners for the time and space to offer an annual report on behalf of MSU Extension. Although the last 2 years have presented challenges for our staff and for the public, we have, with your support and the support of Alcona County, continue to offer learning opportunities to residents here. In 2021, MSU Extension connected to 635 Alcona County residents. Our 4-H programs engaged more than 180 youth to learn lifelong skills and continue to grow in numerous programs. The plans are underway right now and very soon for the 2022 Alcona County Fair, which provides a showcase for the projects and mastery of skills by youth in Alcona County. Our youth development programs focus on a wide variety of areas, as you know, including leadership development for youth, civic engagement, cultural competency, career exploration, workforce preparation, STEM skills that help youth understand the future of science, technology, engineering, and arts and mathematics. We've also provided structure for youth athletics, continuing the tradition of youth soccer, and this summer have engaged with youth baseball and softball. Our health and nutrition programming has been delivered both virtually and in person, and has met the needs of people across the lifespan, including health programs developed for social and emotional well-being. And more than 50 residents attended different programs, including those that support wellness, like Relax, alternatives to anger, sleep education, powerful tools for caregivers, stress less with mindfulness, and Tai Chi for arthritis and fall prevention. We've been able to offer those online at first and then increasingly in person. And Nicole Wethington is joining us virtually if you have questions about that. I'll also add that our community nutrition instructor, Michelle Luttrell is joining us virtually because she is preparing for a program that she's delivering very soon with veterans. And she and other community nutrition instructors that I work with suggested a snack, which I provided for you today. You have a cherry oatmeal energy ball and a recipe with nutrition information. And it's something that we often use when we're working with teens and teaching them life skills and how to, make healthy snacks that they can feed themselves and others with. As you know, supporting agriculture has always been a focus of extension programming. And we work with all aspects of agriculture, including livestock, which includes beef, dairy, beekeeping, pork, poultry. We work with consumer and ornamental horticulture, field crops, fruit production, and vegetable production in Michigan. Michigan State Extension continues to offer support to homeowners through our lawn and garden hotline. And today I've given you a small business card sized promotional item that we just created, which offers the toll-free number for our lawn and garden hotline, which is staffed by our educator staff and trained volunteers, and our food safety hotline, which can give people information about food preservation and opportunities to learn about food safety. And we're happy that our staff, if you leave a message there, someone will call you back and help talk you through, challenges that individuals may have. What we found is that people want our programs in person. People want our programs at a distance through distance technology, like the ones you're using here today. And people want the convenience to talk to a person. So we've tried to meet everyone where they are, while also maintaining a website with all the diverse information that we provide and that the university allows us to create. In addition, our natural resources education highlights ways that residents, visitors, and businesses can act as stewards of water, land, forests, and wildlife resources in the state. And we know that especially in this region, we're very proud of those natural resources and want to make sure that they are that we are good stewards for years to come and for generations to come. And our Sea Grant program, which works with coastal communities, has worked with the Northeast Michigan Great Lakes Stewardship Initiative. And last year we engaged 518 students and 15 teachers from Alcona County on programs with that effort. We worked on reducing marine debris and protecting coastal resources. We're very fortunate in this area to have an educator who lives in Alcona County. His office is in Alpena County, works very closely with our educator that covers the rest of Saginaw Bay, and they collaborate. Tracy D'Agostino, who's one of our youth educators right now, is at the Nene Glissie training that they do with teachers, so that those teachers can bring their understanding of Great Lakes stewardship into the classroom. As we do in all things, when we engage youth, they have the opportunity to learn about ecological systems and stewardship through camps, through school enrichment programs, and we focus on place-based, project-based, and problem-based education in those efforts. And we're really trying to lead the charge and share what we know with teachers to enhance what they do in the classroom. Michigan State University Extension continues to help people improve their lives by bringing the vast knowledge resources of Michigan State University directly to individuals, communities, and businesses. And we're really excited to be partnering with Alcona County to do that. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Also want to mention with me today, Les Thomas, who you know is our 4-H program coordinator, and Kelly Von Fintel, who has joined our office this spring, and she is serving as our support staff since the retirement of Beth Wood. So really excited that she's been able to add a lot of value to our office. And as I said, Nicole and Michelle are also on the line, and we can answer any questions that you might have. Yes.
Is the lawn and garden questionnaire phone numbers, are they in Lansing? I mean, are you calling basically Lansing there?
Actually, you're calling a hotline that is staffed by our educators across the state. So we've actually figured out a way to have the responsibility for that traded.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes your question you might get a response from someone in Oakland County. Sometimes it might be someone in Marquette. It might be someone in Traverse City or in the Thumb or in the Kalamazoo area. So it's a shared project, but our staff will research it based on where you live. You know, we have a very diverse state. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next presentation on our agenda is Francis from Nebraska.
Yes, hi. How's everybody doing today? So I also got the short story to go after such a great annual report presentation. I don't know how that works. Sometimes I have to follow you.
Thank you.
So it's so wonderful to be back and see some familiar faces. I just love Alcona County and have some roots here for sure. If you aren't aware of who I am, my name is Francis O'Mani. I am the Communication and Development Director for Northeast Michigan Community Service Agency, otherwise known as NEMSCA. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in our agency in the past fiscal year. And by doing that, we'll go over some of the things that I've included in the annual report. So when you open it up, of course, you'll see our map that represents the coverage area of our 4 county population. And what that means is that these counties that are highlighted in the blue, we offer all of our programs in. And we have about 30 to 35 programs, which a lot of people aren't aware of. So we'll go over every one of those in minutia today, because I have a couple hours, right, to go over. So anyways, we'll go over some of them very generally, and then we'll talk about what's new and what's on the horizon. So down below is what we call kind of our division. So we internally try to categorize the 30 to 35 programs by what is the division title. So that could be the area agency on aging, which is the division that oversees all of the programs for our seniors. It could be volunteer programs, it could be housing, and so on and so forth. To the right is a list of our current board of directors. And as you're well aware, we have 1/3 that is representative of elected officials. So we want to always give a shout out to our county commissioners that have served in the past and are currently serving on our board. So thank you, Commissioner Gothier, for being on our board and representing Alcona County. We also have 1/3 that are private citizens, and the final third is what we call our consumer sector, which means that they represent low-income populations, which is pretty exciting to have that voice at the table, since most of our programs are geared towards low income. Not all of them, but most of them. Moving on to the next couple pages, the left side is where we put all of the numbers. So this is the aggregate data of all of the lives that we've touched in our coverage area. So you'll see early childhood services, which of course includes Head Start, Early Head Start, and GSRP. We've touched about just over 1,100 children received our services in the past fiscal year. School Success Partnership Program, we've touched over 2,200 lives of students, anywhere from K through, actually, we have a couple locations that are adult ed. We have a lot of volunteer hours that we track that go back in to support our mission. We almost provided 26,000 food boxes for a quarterly food distribution. We had 179 homes that improved their energy efficiency through our weatherization program. Individuals that are assisted with kinship programs. 272 people that would have been homeless are no longer homeless because of our services. Almost 2,400 senior citizens maintain independent living. They did not go into nursing homes before they were ready because of our in-home services and support, and so on and so forth. To the right is a breakdown of our financial overviews. So the top is our pie graph that shows how we're funded. This does change from year to year, but not very substantially. So it just kind of gives a breakdown of where our funding comes from. And underneath that is the list of our divisions. So as I said, we're kind of internally divided up and organized by what we call our divisions. And this is really apparent when you look at this, how large our early childhood services program is compared to the rest of them. So of our expenditures going out, it's pretty significant, the amount that went into early Head Start, and GSRP. So another way to kind of give an example of that is when I checked last, we had about 635 staff on payroll, and of that, about 500 fall into these three programs. So, but also as a reminder from previous presentation, Head Start, we actually touch into 21 counties. So we're not just Northeast Michigan for that particular program. The last thing I want to highlight on that page is the number that we're always very proud of. And that is that we are 96% of our funding goes back out into the programs, meaning that our indirect, or what we call our administrative cost, is 4%, which is very low. If you open up to the next page, the left one is what I always call my fuzzy warm part hug stories. That's the actual stories that we pulled from the data that we collected, and the fact that we can show that each person that we provide programs for in some way is benefiting through that. And to the right indicates where our CARES expenditures went out per county and in what specific programs. This is new. I've never done this before, so I'm excited to be able to share with the board. What we did is some of our program leaders were able to pull stats specific to Alcona County. So I wanted to go over that so that you can see not only just what we're doing as an aggregate organization, but what have we done in this county in the last fiscal year. So the first page talks about our homeless prevention program, and you'll see that just over $150,000 was spent in this county in preventing homelessness, whether it was in paying back rent to prevent eviction, whether it was just providing hotel vouchers or things like that. That's pretty substantial. The second page is our awesome School Success Partnership Program. So as you're probably aware, we have school success liaisons right here in Alcona County, and then we partner with Alpena Public Schools, and we provide that extra support for students that are high risk. And so this pulls the numbers. We have set 28 students that are formally enrolled into this program with over 2,000 contacts in the last fiscal year with these students. And you'll see some of the breakdowns based on what our performance objectives are and our goals were for the year. The next one is our NEMSCO Weatherization Program. So this is actually a pretty big number for a county that's population is lower compared to some of our other counties, that we have 4 houses that are actually weatherized here in this county in the last year, and 3 more that are actually in the process of getting weatherized. So that's super cool. The next 2 pages are statistics and data regarding our volunteer programs. So Alcona County currently has 1 senior companion volunteer and 1 foster grandparent that actually works in the public schools and provides that extra support on a Bloomington elementary level classroom, so that they assist the teacher with just providing emotional support for some students that need it. And then the final one represents our monthly food distribution that we do once a month for low income seniors in the area. And we provide this food box giveaway. And so if you estimate that the box is worth about $55 worth of food, just over $100,000 staying in Alcona County for seniors that needed this food. So with that, that's pretty much the information I wanted to share. I hope you enjoyed the Alcona stat, because we're going to try to keep doing that every year. But I know that's important to share this board. And we just want to give a shout out to all of our partners that are here in the room, MSU, and I know the DA was here and with this board as well, because with our partnerships is what makes us successful. Can I answer any questions?
Very thorough. Yeah, very good. Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Great job. Thank you. Next presentation is our 2021 audit from Anderson Tackman and Company via Zoom. Who's up there? Douglas?
My name is Doug Welton, here with Anderson Tackman Company. Did you guys get a copy of the graph presentation I was going to walk through?
No.
Okay. Well, then I will just do it verbally. And first and foremost, I want to discuss the audit opinion. The audit opinion is the primary reason one gets an audit. There are 3 levels of audit opinion. A modified audit opinion, which would mean that we felt the financial statements were true and accurate in all respects, with the exception of a particular item that we would modify the opinion for, and we would denote that specifically in the opinion. A disclaimer of opinion, which would essentially be that we felt the financial statements were not accurate and that we were unable to place an opinion on them. Or an unmodified or unqualified opinion, which is the highest form of audit opinion, which means that we feel the financial statements are true and accurate in all material respects. And that is the opinion that the county received on their 2021 financial statements. So again, that's the highest form of audit opinion. Then I just wanted to go through a few financial highlights. I'm talking about this year in comparison to the prior period. And I'll do it more so in relation to the bound audit, because that's what you guys have in front of you. So if you look at page 6 of your audit report, it says a 2-year comparison of the balance sheet items of the net position. So this is everything in the county rolled into one financial statement. So as we can see, overall, the assets grew by about 2.6 or a little over $2 million. Within that, there were a couple significant categories that changed. One of the largest category jumps was cash. We went up by about $1.5 million in cash balances from the prior period. This relates most significantly with the ARPA funds. So we received about $1 million in ARPA funds in 21. Not that all of that was spent, but we have a lot of it, increasing the cash values, as well as just general earnings on other funds. Accounts receivable, we saw a slight increase in this. The largest increase in that related to the the newer veteran millage and its receivables at the end of the year. We saw a little bit of a decrease in due from other governmental units, and this had to do with at the year end of 20, there was some CARES Act receivable money on the books that is no longer an item at the end of 21. And then capital assets, so net invested in capital assets, that item went up about $215,000 from the prior year. And this relates to a few different items. The current year additions of a little under $300,000. The current year depreciation expense of about $340,000, and prior period adjustment that affected the asset balances. When we did a full review with the department heads, there was a few items that came up that were unrecorded from previous years, so that's part of the increase that we see in the current year. The other item that I'm going to talk about right now is deferred outflows of resources. This went up by about $296,000. This is entirely related to your pension items. And the increase this year has to do with some assumption changes made by MERS, primarily related to changes in mortality tables and expectations, and the amortization of previous year changes. Overall, there's a little bit of a breakdown of this item on page 45 of the audit report that shows the components that make that up. Before I plow on too much, is there any questions on what I've discussed so far?
No.
Now, if we look at the liabilities portion, we see that overall liabilities increased by about 1.1 million, 1.2 million from the previous period. The most significant changes in here related to about a $65,000 decrease in payables. This just had to do with a lot of year-end timing of invoices. Again, a significant portion of this had to do with expenses associated with the CARES Act grant last period. Unearned revenues, that is a significant increase, and this had to do with the ARPA funds. So the unspent ARPA funds are considered unearned revenues at this point. Installment purchase agreements went up by about 70,000. This was a mixture of new installment agreements of about 137,000 and payments of 67,000 in principal in the current year. And if you look at page 37 of your audit report, there's a breakdown of this information by individual loan item. Net pension liability, we saw a net decrease of about $390,000. This is related to a growth in liability of a little bit over $1 million, with a decrease or an increase in the assets related of about $1.4 million. Overall, we left the year at a 73% funded ratio for the pension, as in comparison to the prior year of about a 69% funded ratio. And if you look on page 44 of your audit report, there's a breakdown of the changes in both the net pension liability and pension assets. Vested employee benefits, we saw a slight decrease in this of about $20,000. Then deferred inflows of resources, we saw a fairly significant increase of about $800,000 from the prior period. And this primarily has to do with pension and deferred taxes. Overall, we saw deferred taxes increase by about $208,000 from the prior year. And this has to do with both the increase in taxable value and the newer millages hitting this number as well. Pension expense, we saw increase by, or sorry, not pension expense, deferred inflows related to pension. This increased by about $580,000. And this had primarily to do with the amortization of prior year items and the investments exceeding expectation by a little over $600,000. And page 45 of the audit report has a little bit of a breakdown. It was the same as the item I pointed you to before on those deferred inflow items. Any questions on the items I've gone through so far?
No.
Now I'd like to talk about the general fund. It's the primary operating fund of the county. And if we were to look on page 14 of the audit report, this is the current year revenue and expense. Unfortunately, I don't have a 2-year comparative to go with this one. But overall, we saw a slight increase in tax revenues in the general fund. This is primarily related to the increase in the taxable value. A slight decrease in license and permits, but under $2,000. We saw about a $72,000 increase in state and federal source revenues. And this is related to increases in state revenue sharing from the prior period. Because last year, the state replaced one of their state revenue sharing payments with CARES Act money. And that went into the different fund last year. So this year, we're seeing that increase come back for the state revenue sharing. Charges for service, we saw about a $69,000 increase in charges for service from the prior year. The two largest areas of increase were both related to the Register of Deeds office, Register of Deeds services and transfer taxes. Fines and forfeitures were up by about $6,800 from the prior year. And this is almost entirely related to bond court cost revenues increasing. Interest and rentals down slightly, about $2,600, and other revenues are down about $2,200. Overall, the general fund saw an increase in revenues of $144,000 from the prior period. Now I'd like to talk about the general fund expenditures. Legislative went up by about $15,000 from the prior year. A lot of this was in relation to the creation of a new budget analyst position, as well as some additional retirement costs incurred comparatively to the prior year. Judicial, we saw about a $21,000 increase in the prior year. And again, this had to do with some retirement cost increases, as well as an increase in juror fees. General government costs, we saw about a $36,000 increase. And the largest areas in this were Register of Deeds was about a $24,000 increase. Building and grounds, about a $19,000 increase. Data processing was about a $16,000 increase, and elections was about a $22,000 decrease in expenditures from the prior year. Public safety, we saw $145,000 increase, or about 6.4% from the prior year. The two biggest increases in here were sheriff costs, which is about $46,000, which was some increase in wage and retirement costs. And jail was an increase in the year of about $98,000. The jail increase is related to some termination pay and retirement pays that had to do with the closure of operations. So I would expect to see a significant decrease in this line item next year with the relation to that. Public works, nearly the same as the prior year. Health and welfare down about $8,700, and that was entirely related to medical examiner cost reductions. Recreation and culture up about $5,000 from the prior year, and other expenditures was down about $43,000, or about 15%. And this primarily was related to drops in employee fringe and general costs. Overall, we saw an increase in the general fund expenditures of about $168,000. And with that, comparatively to our $144,000 increase in revenues, we saw a net overall increase of about $24,000 in expenses over revenues. Any questions on those items? And then the next item I want to talk about is just the year-end fund balance of the general fund. So if you just go up to the next page, or sorry. Page 13 of your audit report. This is the balance sheet, and this will show you the fund balance, the components of fund balance at year end. So the general fund's non-spendable is a direct correlation to the prepaid expense items. Committed and assigned amounts are items that represented items that the board is either committed to projects or assigned to specific items. And the unassigned represents the truly unencumbered assets at year end. And fund balance is if you take all of your assets minus your liabilities, you end up with fund balance. Comparatively to the prior year, fund balance grew by about $38,000, which means that the general fund revenues exceeded expenditures. And we ended the year end with about 8.7% of year-to-date expenditures and unrestricted fund balance. This is a little bit below what the GAO suggests. They suggest about a 2-month operating expenditure reserve in unrestricted fund balances of the general fund. But it is a growth in fund balance, so that's a good sign. It's a healthy year that you're helping build it back up. I know over the past few years, we've seen some decreases in the general fund operating fund balance. Otherwise, I wanted to open it up to questions if you had any for me.
Anybody have anybody? I don't think we have any questions, Doug.
All right, well, then I would like to thank you and your staff for all the help you gave us throughout the audit process. And we look forward to doing business with you guys again.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Okay, next presentation, Melissa.
Oh, I'm just here, I got, of course, to give the quarterly report for the Register of Deeds office. All in all, everything is pretty much running as it has in previous years. We do have a decrease in the number of documents that we've seen recorded in comparison to last year. The numbers that we're seeing come in now are more like what an average would have been prior to the pandemic. Nothing lower, but so kind of moving, I feel, in a direction back towards a normal number of documents that would be recorded in the office. Property sales down just slightly, although, I mean, the properties that are selling are still selling for quite high dollar amounts. So all in all, Register's office is moving along smoothly. We've had a lot of traffic in there, people wanting to research information on their properties, fielding a lot of phone calls, just everyday normal things. A couple of other things though that I wanted to talk about. I am preparing letters to send out to the township assessors, and that is in regards to the change that will be coming into effect in January of next year. The assessors will be receiving the conveyance documents from the Register of Deeds office. In years past, it's come from the Equalization Department. So, like I said, preparing letters to them so that we can make sure we have our policies and procedures all in place so that they're able to pick up their records in a timely manner once the new year begins. Our scan project that we had done in January actually is probably about 90% complete. We had US Imaging come in, scan a lot of our older documents. We've gone through and reviewed those documents, made sure images were good. We've done indexing of all of the plat maps, of which I think there was 256. We did run into a couple of little issues when we were reviewing the documents. So currently we are working with Fiddler Technologies, and we're waiting to hear back from US Imaging as to how we're going to rectify that. There were a couple of images that we found that were missing, so I'm not sure if they didn't get scanned or if for some reason they weren't They didn't get exported to the proper place. So waiting to hear back on that, confident that we're gonna be able to work that out. As far as the last meeting goes, I know the Zillow bill topic got brought up. I did send an email. At this point, I mean, the last thing I heard was in May, and that was from the Michigan Association of Registered of Deeds, working with the Michigan Association of County Treasurers and the Michigan Association of Counties to try and stop that House Bill 43730 from passing. And then one other thing that has been being talked about also, this has been now for, I don't know, I'd say almost 2 years, when I go to the registers meetings, is called Daniel's Law, which a couple of years ago, this came about. There was a judge in, I believe it was New Jersey, whose son was, she had sentenced someone. He showed up at her house, ended up shooting her husband and son. Her husband passed away. So now there's legislation out there that is moving to be able to redact from public information the information of certain protected individuals such as judges, law enforcement, etc. This has been something that's being talked about for a couple of years. It was introduced to the Michigan Senate in February. It has gone no further at this point. There are states around us. I believe Ohio has enacted the bill. There are other states around us that are basically at the same point that the state of Michigan is at. So should something come to fruition and this actually move forward, it's going to, of course, change the way that we're able to do some of the recording information in the register's office. So just wanted to make you aware of that as well. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
I don't think so. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other presentations? Before we move on, I forgot to ask for additions and deletions to the agenda. Unfinished business, you want to move that down to, okay, we're gonna move the building department equalization letters of understanding down to personnel report. I'd like to add under new business, EMS millage language. Any other additions? Anything, right? Nope. Okay, there is no unfinished business. We'll do this. Go ahead. Okay, so we'll move under new business and we'll claims. I'd like to make a motion to approve the pre-authorized claims and open claims presented for payment between July 6th, 2022 and July 19th, 2022 for check numbers 148016 to 148147 and e-check numbers 1891 to 19002 for a grand total of $397,894.23. Motion on the floor is seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Brumman,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Small,
Yes. Okay, moving on, memorandum of understanding of Alcona County and Alcona County Community Schools.
I would so move to approve and authorize chair to sign.
Is that the? Is that in our packet? What was it? Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, we have a motion on the floor and supported to approve the memorandum of understanding between Alcona County and Alcona Community Schools IT
And authorize chair to sign.
and authorize the chair to sign. Yeah, this place for the signature. Yeah. And basically, if that's right, it allows, this allows if we have a problem with some IT, their IT guy will help us, and if they have some problems, our IT will help them, so. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution opposing Zillow House Bills. 4729, 4730, 4731, and 4732.
Chairman, I would move to, approve resolution number 2022-17 regarding the Zillow housing bill, the board Zillow housing bills.
Somebody's gonna have that. Does it need to be read, Carolyn? I don't.
Which is, John, I can,
Okay, could you, please?
sure, why not? Board of Commissioners opposing House Bills 4729, 4730, 4731, and 4732. Whereas Zillow has spearheaded legislation to undermine the integrity of the registered deeds and treasurer's offices across the state of Michigan, which will greatly reduce revenues needed to fund the daily operation of both offices. And whereas Zillow, a for-profit corporation, is lobbying the state of Michigan legislation to pass legislation that will provide them copies of any official records maintained by both registered deeds and the treasurer's office at an insignificant fee, or in some cases, 100% free of charge. And whereas if these bills become law, Zillow will have the ability to demand the manner in which the registered deeds and treasurer must provide copies of official records. And whereas if these bills become law, they would impose new restrictions and limits on what the registered deeds and treasurer's office can charge for partial cards. And whereas the burden to fund the registered deed and the treasurer's departments would fall more heavily on the taxpayers of Alcona County due to providing official records to out-of-state entities and corporate organizations. And whereas Zillow will profit on selling publicly owned records provided to them free of charge, while at the same time placing Alcona County and other Michigan residents at a higher risk for fraud and theft. And whereas the Michigan Association of Counties, the Michigan Association of County Treasurers, the Michigan Association of County Clerks, the Michigan Association of the Michigan Municipal League, the Michigan Association of Registered Deeds, and bipartisan organizations are united in opposing Michigan House Bills 4729, 4730, 4731, and 4732. Therefore, be it resolved that the Alcona County Board of Commissioners stand in solidarity with the Alcona County Register of Deeds and the Allegan County Treasurer.
Sorry.
And the Alcona County Treasurer to oppose Michigan House Bills 4729, 4730, 4731, and 4732. And stand up to corporations that data mine and benefit financially from public records at the expense of the taxpayer. And be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution in opposition to the above bills be forwarded to Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Speaker of the Michigan House of Representatives, Majority Leader of the Michigan Senate, Senator Nesbitt, Representative Johnson, Representative Whitford, Representative Aller, and Senator Thomas, and the Michigan Association of Counties, the Michigan Association of County Treasurers, the Michigan Association of County Clerks, Michigan Association of Registered Deeds, and Michigan Municipal League. Period.
Thank you.
You all.
We have a resolution, we have motion on the floor and seconded.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Bill. Any other discussion on this resolution? All those in favor?
It's a resolution.
Oh, roll call. Okay.
Gothier,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Small.
Yes.
I do have a corrected one here, Carolyn, with the resolution number and a signature line. So
No problem.
Hey,
Hopefully I read it correctly.
thanks. Next order of business, we have a resolution in support of the person-to-person access to Michigan Secretary of State branch offices.
I will move
Okay.
on that one.
Support.
Would you like that one read also?
Sure.
Sure, why not?
Why not? I like it.
Alcona County Resolution 2022-16,
in support of person-to-person access to Michigan Secretary of State branch offices. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of Alcona County strive for the betterment for the residents and guests of our great county. And whereas in the quest to ensure the best of services for the residents and guests of Alcona County. And whereas these services are inclusive of state of Michigan services, including the services of the Secretary of State. And whereas provided for in Michigan compiled law, chapter 257, section 257.205, parentheses 1, at least, quote, at least one office shall be established in each county of the state, end quote. And whereas the reduced access of internet within the county causes reduction of the ability to make appointments, as well as having direct contact with the Secretary of State local offices. Therefore, be it resolved, we, the Alcona County Board of Commissioners, based on state law, request a continuance of the Secretary of State office in Alcona County. And therefore, be it resolved, we, the Alcona County Board of Commissioners, urge a continuance of both appointments and walk-in services to be provided at our county SOS office. And therefore, be it further resolved, we provide a copy of this resolution, be sent to Governor Whitmer, Secretary of State Benson, Senator Thomas, Representative Aller, and the other 82 counties in the state of Michigan.
Second. Motion on the floor and second. Very second. Any other discussion on this resolution? Roll call.
Thompson,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Gothier.
Yes. Okay, we have in front of us a Millen Township anti-noise ordinance. And is this one of those things we either act on it or let it go 30 days and then automatically becomes? I think so. What's everybody's pleasure? That's right. Just let it ride for 30 days unless something else. Okay. We can. We didn't put down on the road commission. We didn't have anything about the road commission on this.
Yeah, under personnel.
Oh, you're gonna put it in the personnel.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, we have an agreement for extension services that somehow got up into our presentations. But I think it's does not have to be done today.
Okay, this is
Presentation
for,
today and stuff.
this is agreement for extensions for the MSU.
Julia, when you had requested to be put on the agenda, this came after.
No, it just needs to be signed before the start of the calendar year. I sent it so that I didn't forget to send it, but last year you all signed it in October, so I'm sorry if the wire
I
got
just-
crossed.
It's
not urgent.
Presentation was today.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, so we'll just bring that back to,
Yeah.
let's put that on the
I'll come back.
next meeting's agenda. Can you do that, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Next meeting or even,
I will. I'll bring more treats.
okay, yeah. Okay, next thing on, under new business is, EMS village. Everybody has in front of them the language for our EMS village, and if I could talk on this just a little bit. Unfortunately, we all missed the opportunity earlier in this year to bring this, up to a possible vote to have it put on our August primary. So now we have a existing millage for our EMS that we need to approve the language for our upcoming November election. As far as to our finance committee, Adam and I as EMS, EMS committee, we have met with Scott Rice and started a conversation of our 210 fund and how that is working, the amount of money we're getting with the existing millage has been approved for probably the last 14, 15 years at a 1 mil rate. And through finance, through Scott, working over the next 4 years budget, it has come to our opinion that this millage does not need to be renewed, but we need to ask for a new millage, increasing from a 1 mil to a 1.25 mil. We know he's in contract negotiations right now. We know there's gonna be raises coming for his employees. We know there's increases in almost all expenses throughout 210 regarding retirement, labor, et cetera. And the 1 mil is just not gonna give us enough money
But you have,
to,
there is a half a mil millage already. That's got 2 more years.
right, and that is dedicated to equipment only. And that's our 213 fund. So that is completely, this is for operations, wages, retirements, and that. When our citizens approved that village 2 years ago, we created the 213 fund, which allowed to move purchase of new ambulances, equipment, gas, just about every operational expense except for labor, and that over to 213. 210, and we can't move stuff back because one's dedicated itself. And we feel as for finance, it's coming from finance that there's just no way that this EMS will be able to operate under 1 mil for the next 4 years. So in the language, I'll read the language. Alcona County ambulance millage shall the expired previous voted increase in tax limitation imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution of Alcona County of 1 mil, 1,000 per $1 per $1,000 be, and I don't think renewed is the right word there, be approved. See where it says renewed there?
Probably should be just, because you're asking for a new millage.
Right. It's a revision.
1.25.
Shall be, what should that say there? Shall be increased. It's not being renewed, it's gonna be. We're asking for approval. What do you think, Scott? What should it say?
Replacement,
No, we're not.
1.25 would replace the 1. What was the language that ACCOA used a few years ago?
Well, this has come right from Tom Weichel, but I don't know if that be renewed is at the. So let me finish it. Be renewed at the 1.25 mil, $1.25 per $1,000 of taxable value and levied for 4 years, 2022 through 2025, raising an estimated. This is the wrong one. I'm sorry. It's wrong. That's wrong. No, I know. Excuse me. That's printed wrong. Let me go find it.
You want it, Dan? I have the figure at 1.25 mils.
I know, but we have to have the right language here. Excuse me. For a second. Yeah, let's recess for 5 minutes.
Okay, all right, sorry, that was fine. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I know, I usually send them by way of a ball,
No.
but I just thought.
Sure, 5 minutes.
It's not urgent, so, all right, I'm moving.
I apologize. I grabbed the wrong one.
I don't know where to start.
We've been going through this, trying to make sure we have it right.
Yeah,
but
no.
Let me start over again. Alcona County Emergency Medical Services Village. So a limitation of the total amount of taxes which may be leveled against all properties in Alcona County be increased as provided by Section 6, Article 9 of the Michigan Constitution of 1963, or an amount not to exceed 1.25 mils, $1.25 per $1,000 in taxable value on all properties in Alcona County for a period of 4 years, 2022 through 2025, for the purpose of purchase equipment, ambulance and building maintenance and operation and maintaining Alcona County emergency medical services which will raise in the first year an estimated $1,040,657.55. That language has been approved from Tom Michael.
It sounds like the language for 213. Where it mentions ambulances.
The reason we asked Tom that question and the reason that he suggested that all that language be in there. Because in 2 years, if 213 fails, then that would go back to 210 and they would have monies in there. Wouldn't have any money, but they would still be able, if necessary, to do something with ambulances and equipment. That was Tom's opinion. So I think, I think motion's in order to what do we want to do with this village language? Somebody's wish.
I can motion that we accept the language of this spread to be placed on the village. We have placed on the ballot in November.
So we have a motion on the floor.
Support.
It is supported that this approved language be placed on our November ballot for consideration by our taxpayers of the phone call. Any other discussion?
So
Scott,
the 1.25 mils is not enough. It'll get us through the first 2 years. It's not going to get us through the next 2 years. Nobody's done budget projections through 26. I have. Nobody's asked my opinion. The 213's done for the next 4 years. Based on what we've got in negotiations, you're looking at $55,000 to $60,000 a year ahead each year for the next 4 years. 1.25 is only going to get you through 2 years. It's not enough.
well, we asked your opinion when we were sitting down in finance.
I wasn't at the finance committee meeting when this.
Well,
was
you and I,
decided.
we met with you, we asked your opinion, but we also in our opinion. That asking for 1.5 right now might be just too much for our taxpayers to approve.
Okay.
And we know this 1 point, even 4 years ago, in my opinion. The 1 mil was not even enough 4 years ago, and we know what we went through in 19 and 20. The general fund had to help support the EMS until we got that. Our taxpayers approved the equipment, that language for our 213 fund, which helped 210 survive.
Right.
And now we're looking at, I mean, everything's going up, we know that.
You're gonna have to revisit it somehow in 2 ways.
Well, it's always gonna, I think it's gonna have to be revisited, but the lack of visitation over the last 8 years, 10 years, we didn't address it 4 years ago. We tried to get, unfortunately, we tried to get a millage for our general fund, which didn't work, and we let these other ones go through. Our taxpayers approved them, and there's not enough money there to operate on. So it's our opinion that 1.25, hopefully we could squeak through with it, but come when the renewal on this one at 1.25, definitely is not gonna be enough. I agree with you on that stuff.
We're gonna come up short in the last 2 years.
Well, that's what it's everybody's opinion. We have a motion on the floor.
So moving.
We have a motion on the floor. And have a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thompson,
No.
Small,
Yes.
Drummond,
Yes.
go out there.
Yes. Okay. Moving on. Finance report. Sheila, do you have anything? Cheryl, our treasurer, is off sick, so.
No, I don't have any. Well, actually, I do. I know we met and we're going to meet with department heads for kind of the midterm budget. I know we're also going to be checking with department heads in regards to preparing for 2023 budget. Other than that, that's about it. There's the budget part of it.
Personnel.
Regarding to what, these things, first of all, we would provide, I'm gonna say a week ago, but I don't think it's quite that long ago. A recommendation for a memorandum of understanding regarding the position in the building department. As you can see, if there's an increase of responsibilities there, and we are recommending it go to a 301 rather than the 201. But there is language in that memorandum of understanding that if responsibilities change or if there's a new employee in that position, it automatically goes back to a 201. We can't imagine anyone coming in with the expertise that was currently held in that position. It could be there someday after a year or two or whatever. But certainly to believe that they would have that expertise walking in the door. Obviously, it's open for personnel to recommend a change at the time of that individual. So at this time, we would ask for a motion, or I will move to approve and authorize the chair to sign the memorandum of understanding regarding the position in the building department. Not or changing to a 301 on a temporary basis from the 201.
As far as discussion question, does that, because you changed language in that proposed MOU, does that have to go back to the union for their approval?
No.
No?
I don't think so. We've met with the partners. And,
Okay.
I would say they are comfortable with it.
Okay. All right. So the MOU, the MOU is signed by the business agent and by us. So there's a motion on the floor, there's a second to approve the MOU regarding the building department's employee moving from a 201 to a 301. Right?
And we would ask that we make effective at the beginning of the next pay period.
Okay.
And we will send a memorandum to payroll regarding that.
So just that, so we track that when it starts. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Gothier,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes. We are reporting but not asking for any action right now regarding the request on employee base. We've still got a little bit of research to do. And we've been working on it, but I still have a couple of questions that we, or not so much questions, but research we want to do on.
Okay, so you're requesting
No action.
no action on the equalization.
Correct.
Okay.
We have received another audit regarding road commission having the opportunity to get health insurance. That request came, it was our understanding, came through their insurance company. And for that reason, we are asking that we approve the letter that we've offered you to authorize or endorse the road commission receiving insurance.
Sorry,
Starting in January, so 2020, I'm saying 2023, yeah.
So is this,
It goes,
Oh, I'm sure. No,
January 22.
Yes. Commence in January.
it's a statement saying that the road commission commissioners can get health insurance.
okay, this is nothing with their employees. This is
No,
just the
just the
three,
three of them.
the three
Yeah.
commissioners.
Three board members.
They there was a discussion with their insurance company indicating that they needed something from us because we still sit at the top of
Oh,
the
even though
scale.
they're already getting it.
Yeah.
They're already getting it. This is just, okay,
Like a whole.
okay, yep.
And we're trying to get
So we're approving them. Okay. So this motion on the floor, right?
it's a motion.
Yes.
And then a second.
Second. To approve, does the chair need to sign this or no?
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, okay. So you're gonna approve, ask for the chair to sign. Okay, there's a motion to approve the healthcare for Alcoa County Road Commissioners.
Right.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Small,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes,
Brumman,
Yes,
okay, that motion carried.
and the rest is.
Well, there's another one that we actually got in the mail, which was the road commission's request to be wages to be the same as,
Man, we just got that, right?
What's the effective?
well, we had it. Yeah, we took, had them.
The two letters from.
Just a minute. We've had two letters. I grabbed one back, and I can find where I got it. Basically, they're asking to be salary the same as our salary. And dollar amount. And again, it's their budget, but because we're labeled as above, we need a motion just to allow them to. So they can then increase their. Right.
Yeah. Increase as well, their board, yeah.
They're gonna actually. I make a motion to allow the road commissioners to raise their salary to match ours. Second.
Motion on the board, second to allow the Alcoa County Road Commissioners to increase their salary to be equal and not more than that, right? The Alcoa County Board of Commissioners.
That's the one you sent you.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the healthcare.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is wages.
Okay, any other
I
discussion?
didn't look forward.
Roll call.
Brumman,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Anything else personnel?
I don't believe so.
Treasurers report, and then
I don't have a whole lot, just to let you guys know that, the township treasurers are collecting and submitting their payments to the county, so. Revenue is coming in. So, that's about it.
You're gonna put these in during your.
yes,
committee meeting?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, clerk's report, jury mileage rates.
yes. Actually, this letter was drawn up by the judge as well. We talked about it, and we currently have a jury trial, deliberating right now. Oh, I'm gonna keep that one, sorry, it's the original. In deliberating, well, I came down here, they might be finished by now. I've been in the clerk's office, but before that, the prosecutor's office and the probate court, and as far as I can remember, the rates have been the same for, like 24 years for mileage that I'm aware of. In discussing on July 6th, when you guys increased the mileage rates here, being that they were at 31 cents for 24 years. The fees have been raised, and then those are set by the state, the minimum fees for mileage and jury fees, as well as witness fees, I believe, also. And we talked and we thought that it was appropriate to raise it to at least the 50 cents that we as county employees were getting. So that was submitted for your, the second page is also, it's a highlighted mark, not on this letter, but within your packets. That shows mileage rates from 2005 in another county, we're at 41 cents. And we're currently only at 31 cents. I literally paid juror and mileage fees to a gentleman who was going backwards to come here to appear for jury duty, so.
I make a motion that we approve the 50 cents for jury duty mileage.
Second. So we have a motion on the floor to increase the mileage reimbursement for jurors from 31 cents to 50 cents per mile. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Small,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Drummond,
Yes.
Gothier.
Yes.
I also have a few other things, and when Doug was also reviewing the audit in regard to jury fees, we have a jury that started on Monday, deliberating today, and we turn around, we have another jury trial tomorrow. they're back to back, so they expect to have jury trials all week long. Public accuracy testing was done in all townships, Monday and Tuesday. Those went well. I think Greenbush is the only one that does their own public accuracy testing, and hers is tonight. I also received, I keep forgetting to add it to your communications, but the letter that was in regard to the PILT monies for the year, I'm sure that was also received by the treasurer's office, or no? No, okay, it's in the packet there. And there's a couple of bills that have come in. You guys opted out of the MTA, I believe, the last few years. The association do. Is that accurate? You don't want to participate in the
Talk
MTA?
about it. When's it, how much is it?
5 to 7 commissioners is $505.
When is it due?
Good information.
Can you just bring that to, we'll give it to finance?
Do it finance?
Yeah.
Okay.
We-
Doesn't they go considerate for all the reasonable good communication with our county folks? You should ask your county folks.
Mhm.
And I have called MPA and got information from them. They haven't asked your number of that.
Okay. Then the first, after the renewal was approved for Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority, I did receive the first bill. And just off the top of my head, I think last year was 104,000. This year is the 90,000. So it was $14,000 less total than the prior year. I also received District Health Department bill, so I'll submit that to finance.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the letter on the PILT monies. And then also that was missed on your communications was Cummins Township Planning Commission will be submitting their plan because they have to notify every yes, that touches the borders of their county. So that will be on its way if anyone's interested in looking at it. I think that's all I got.
Hey, there's been a couple communications from them, roundtable. In the Casa County resolution for you guys' review. Committee reports. That's something, Jerry.
Yeah, just a little bit. We met with Forest Service. They discussing discussion because they are building down here, a building idea. And we'll be waiting for a report from them. They're doing, they had an engineer there who's going to be doing reports and he's sending his report to it. After that, we'll have something. Township meetings, I was at mental health meetings and
Okay. Carol, anything?
Routine meetings, hunt meetings at 2-1. Biggest thing I would like to mention to everyone, on August 4th, the day after our next meeting, the Forgotten Eagles will be coming through. They will have their presentation at the flag at 12:30. They leave Oscoda at noon, so you can pace yourself as far as official people are going to be. 2 things. 1, please go out and stand, sit, whatever. US 23 with your flag. They tell us every year that they have a warmer reception, feel more welcome, and when they come to Alcona County, they get a better reception than any other county they go to. And I think that's a cool reputation to have, and I welcome everyone. And you can go sit in my driveway if you wish. If you don't have a place, but there are lots of places you can pull over on 23 and park and watch them come through. We've had as many bikers as 65, and I think the lowest number we've had is maybe 22. COVID could take a little bit, and respectfully, not that anyone else isn't, but they are getting older, and majority of them are veterans. And so the money that they raise goes to this year, it's a lot of it's going to be going to the Veterans Michigan Veterans Trust Fund. They do things like ramps and, reconditioning a house, for handicap veterans, those kinds of things that frequently there isn't a source of money to get it done, and the veteran needs it, and they step up to the plate. And they're really cool group.
Okay. Bill,
Yeah, I got a few things. Starting with the Forest Service, we finally actually, for the newest here to get, see the contract. Now, the contract, the permit, it's all, and it runs until 2033. So we do have time on that permit. There's a loss between us and them. They've got a bunch of new people, not only in their upper echelon, but below. And for example, we were supposed to have meetings once a year in October. That didn't always happen. It did turn out that maintenance to the buildings are definitely all of on our shoulders in lieu of charging any rent. But I think, I feel anyways, that there's some room there that if we made some movement, that they would extend, because I think what they did is, because we didn't follow through on a lot of things, they just took it as if we're abolishing away from it, and they indicated that they have money for demolition and so forth, but I don't think that's what they really want. But it's, the door is still open to discuss things with them. It was a good meeting, and there is an engineer that comes around every 5 years and checks out what was done in those 5 years and what needs to be done. Dave is working with them on the priorities of some of the things. Last meeting, we asked about the testing of the wells over at the old dump, and Road Commission said that they would send it to Steph a map, and I don't think it's happened yet. They're having a little difficulty getting access to that particular site. They're looking at trying to make a road off of 72 into it, and it's not cheap. Let's see, there's been went to Northern Michigan Association and of counties, and they've had an update with MAC and so forth, and they came across that the state has a lot more funds in their coffer this year than they have in the past because of different ARPA funds that they've received. And they listed out a couple. For example, the district helped us to get like $10 million to do more well testing. They didn't go in elaborate on what they're going to test for, but it's coming their direction. District library meeting, where we had a rep from MERS zoom in and talk to them, and they got a couple answers on what would happen with the employees. Yeah, that's enough.
Okay. I like,
One more.
okay,
Harrisville has a good sign from their, a good report on their harbor. Also, they're painting 2 more courts for pickleball, correct?
They're done.
And they've had good turnout on people participating in it, so things are moving.
I'd like to report on our ARPA committee. We had a meeting on July 8th, and all our members were in attendance. We reviewed our minutes from June 28th, found them in order. Our first order of business was the trial court proposal. We all received that a month ago, probably, regarding the sound and IT system down here in our lower courtroom. And everybody's kind of looked for additional funding. It really hasn't been found. It's just under a $4,000 project. So there was a motion made by Tom Wakel and seconded by Scott Stevenson that we would recommend to the Board of Commissioners that this project be funded, and the ARPA committee will recommend to the Board of Commissioners that the ARPA funds would be used for this project not to exceed $4,000.
So moved.
I'm gonna go ahead and vote on each one here.
Yeah, we'll vote on this one. So there's a motion to approve the expenditure of not to exceed $4,000 for the trial court proposal. Second, we'll do a second.
Oh, that's like, I'm sorry.
Okay, Bill seconded it. Any discussion? Make probably roll call, sir.
Thompson,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Gothier.
Yes. Then at our last meeting, we've seen a pretty good presentation from our building maintenance, Dave Hansen, regarding the small projects, but very important projects that keep on popping up in our building. We had quite a bit of discussion in our Operating committee regarding this. And a motion was made by Scott Rice and seconded by Tom Moifel that $50,000 be allocated from our ARPA funds to a county building maintenance fund. The ARPA committee will recommend to the Board of Commissioners that $50,000 be allocated from the ARPA funds for this project. And what will happen on this is that $50,000 will go into the fund, the treasurer, Dave on some of this small stuff, which turns into bigger stuff, is instead of having people come back and forth on that, is going to be able to draw from this fund. He has to turn in all the appropriate paperwork needed through our opera grant before he can get paid, but it's going to allow him to have a little leeway, like all this drain tile underneath the crawl space and some of this stuff, in order just to get it done instead of having to try to find funds or not, or delay it to the following year.
Will that require a additional fund number, or is that already something?
I don't know, Cheryl was at the meeting, I don't know what she really planned on doing.
Because
Cheryl, can you hear us?
it would come from ARPA fund number and be transferred to a number that he could work with.
And that he was working in building maintenance, right?
Okay.
Right. But we looked at our monies in the ARPA fund and we thought, let's allocate $50,000 over this and let him get some of this. Dragging on years are getting worse because we're waiting for monies from next year's budget.
I wonder if there's a way we could roll in 430, which is building preservation. That's court related, so maybe.
Probably not.
Probably have to work with Cheryl on
I
that
just,
one.
I wouldn't.
probably track it separately.
Yeah, you
I
would.
mean, just so that we know what the expenditures will.
Right, because you need as much,
We have to report it anyways to the fund.
right, you need as much separation as you can get it. This would show that it's throwing a full amount of money from one to another. And then as Dave can use it, he would report back with
Right.
all the required forms.
In order to get paid. Yeah.
Right, and then you would have that already information when you do your quarterly reports to the government. Okay,
And David also can bring it to us, saying, hey, I want to use this amount,
Oh, yeah.
$8,000 out of this fund to do this.
he can still get our approval.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, our committees,
That's a motion also.
yeah, that's a motion to allow for the board of commissioners to approve the allocation of $50,000.
I support.
Motion supported on the floor. Any discussion? Roll call. please.
Brumman,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes,
Other order of business is our AED devices. We've had numerous conversations on this and went to the ARPA committee to see if we could find funds for these AED devices. They sent it back to our EMS committee. We reported back to the ARPA committee that we would recommend the project be funded from the HRSA funds that EMS had received. We went through a lot of discussion, went back and forth on all different kinds of possibilities, and there was a motion made by Tom Weichel and seconded by Bill Thompson that the funding for this project should not come from ARPA funds. And there was a vote, there was 3 in favor and 2 opposed. So the ARPA committee is just recommending to the board of commissioners that if indeed any funding is put forward towards these AED devices, that it not come from ARPA funds. Not a motion or anything, it's just information. Any other reports? Before I go to public comment, I would like to say one thing, Tony, I apologize from earlier. You gave us exactly what we asked
Well,
for.
I'll bring it up in public comment.
Okay.
I'll make it real quick. You
Okay.
have to answer right then. I'll
Okay.
just say what I gotta say and,
Okay,
uh,
so we'll go to public comment. Tony.
okay. So basically, before we can go any further, this is what you asked of us.
Right.
And everything.
Right.
And so, because like I said, we need to pick a location without the a spot, because if we do it at EMS, that's going through Guston Township for a site plan review. If we go through the other location, it's through the village of Lincoln. So, like I said, we gotta take baby steps and slow down a little bit, because I think everybody was rushing, a lot of things were going on and people weren't all on the same page, so.
From my.
So right now, this is where you guys have to do the research and accept the property or not accept the property over there. And that's where we're at now. We're at the stage where once the location is accepted and it's on the county books, the county property, then we can start spending money on blueprints, going for site plan review, and then the next phases.
You like, go ahead, Carol.
It's public comment. Paul.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's still okay. Two things. One, when we initially did this, I'm not sure that we realized that were some DEQ issues. And I think somehow or other we need to have the letter that says those are eradicated, that it no longer exists, or if it does exist, either way, we need, I believe, before we move any further, we need to,
Well, if I.
Well, Adam did mention, I'm getting with Eagle and everything for the cleanup results and everything, you know, for the one property. So, like I said, we're just giving this now.
Right.
And we're still, now we gotta do the research, make sure that there's no contamination, no, you know, before you guys accept the property.
Right.
You know, the DDA wanted to make it public that they were giving us this, no longer that we were gonna buy it. They were said, no, we're gonna give this to you. But like I said, you guys, now we're still gonna do the research and we're in that phase. So.
And I can just tell you now that we have this information, all that, I'll put every effort forward to get everything I can on that lot in there. And if it's a good lot and it's good to build on, we'll go from there. But it's time for us to
And
move
like I
forward.
said, with the grant money, their tentative timeline is, they're supposed to be getting the contracts out on August 1st. But because they were 2 weeks behind on letting us know that it was approved, I figured maybe there's a 2-week buffer there. But I'll be bringing that to the, table 2 here.
Okay.
For that $55,093 to put towards the building.
Okay.
I got one of our other requests, which really is, it says cost estimate description, but I thought we asked for a budget that would.
We haven't got to that, there's a finance budget back here. It's on the second phase. See it down there in the light on item 3, financial budget showing protect revenues and expenditures. See it down there.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
also
mean, that's coming. Yeah, that's.
But I also see that it's after the fact.
Well, not really. It's not really after the fact.
Well, it says once the location's been approved and purchased or accepted, the following information is needed, but I had asked, and I guess I'm the only one to ask this question, and that's okay. What insurance rates are there going to be? What are the costs? Those are costs they've never had before.
I
And I'm
understand.
concerned over that.
Yeah, and I agree, but on the same token, we gotta, once we know that the property is the property where this building's going, then you can definitely put in a lot better cost, because you can't. Pretty hard to ask the insurance company what a building's gonna cost, insurance gonna cost in one location or another location. I mean, you gotta, the location. I agree with you, that's gotta come, but on the same token, we need to find out if this is a site that works best for the county and it's a good site, and we need to find that.
And we're
Go to
going
the
to
next step.
accept it. Okay.
That's my opinion.
And at the bottom of that, it talks about the 5-year plan. That's where all that information that you're asking for.
Right.
But we're not gonna do that until we know where it's gonna be. That way we can take average of what, because we never, paid for electricity in that building that size before. So we don't know, so we're gonna have to take estimates and all that, so, but that will be later on down the road. Right now, the main thing is the location. Is this gonna be the spot or is it not gonna be the spot? And that's what we're trying to determine.
Thanks. Anybody else have public comment?
Yeah,
Gary.
Gary Winnick, Mitchell Township. Thank you very much for passing that resolution concerning access to the Secretary of State's office. Actually, I gotta thank you on the second point. I guess the mileage thing for jury duty is fine. Thanks for the letter, Steph. I'll see you tomorrow.
You're welcome. We didn't put an effective date in
I was
there.
gonna say, is that?
Anybody else have anything? Troy? Nothing?
No,
Okay, everybody?
I do have one thing.
Okay.
Just one thing to let you know that something has changed. The PREs, no more are they handled at the July and December board review. The assessor can handle them anytime when they get them.
Oh.
So that was passed by Governor Whitman, that's affected. So border reviews were way down,
Yeah,
way down. So that was.
okay, good deal. Anybody, commissioners, any additional comments or concerns?
Dan, I did have one more public comment.
Okay,
It was, thank you for the 50,000 for Dave. That's wonderful because during the jury trial today, there was a bat flying
yes.
around and the jury had to be excused into the jury room because this bat was flying around in there, but. yeah.
Brought that out, I was trying to get it in before. Is the budget, because you now have two jury trials back to back, how is the budget for that line item going to be? Do we
I
need to
haven't
look into it to
Checked
increase?
it,
Yeah.
but don't be surprised if Jen comes asking for, if
Okay,
they can
because I
pick
know-
one.
It's not normal to have that many for us, but and we have to budget X amount.
This is our third one this year for circuit already.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
meeting is adjourned. Next meeting is August 3rd, 1:30 PM.